by tampering with conventional wisdom.
What's up, goons? Going live for a little bit, playing some Division 2 solo missions. Gonna have the great Art Bell playing in the background with special guest Graham Hancock. They're gonna be discussing Graham Hancock's book Fingerprints of the Gods. Came out in 1994. Great information. You may have seen Graham Hancock on Joe Rogan podcast. If you don't know who he is, look him up. And once you look him up, buy his books. They're phenomenal, and they'll make you think outside the box on this planet and our ancestors and our human beings as having amnesia. Really good stuff. So hope you enjoy. If you don't like listening to that kind of stuff, hey, that's you. I freaking love it. So we'll get started here. We're gonna play some Division 2 with this in the background. If it's too loud in the stream, let me know. If it's not, let me know. Appreciate your feedback as always. My cat just did a somersault and knocked something off the wall. But we'll get started here.
Direction and repair.
Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. From the high desert and the great American Southwest, the desert.
The desert.
That I know of, but the desert.
Fucking love Art Bell. Rest in peace.
A great good morning and good evening, depending on your time zone across all these many.
If you don't know who Art Bell is, that's okay. He was a radio host in the late 80s in a little town called Pahrump, Nevada. And he did, you know, politics and stuff. And if you don't know, Pahrump, Nevada is about 5 miles from Area 51, or what they believe is Area 51. It's also called Groom Lake. At Groom Lake, Area 51, you know, everybody says there's aliens and stuff like that, but it's actually an Air Force top secret research facility. A lot of our aircraft have come out of Groom Lake, SR-71 Blackbird, the F-117 Nighthawk, so on and so forth. The new F-22s came out of there, new F-35s came out of there, so a lot of cool stuff came out of Area 51. But Art Bell was the small-time radio host, and he started getting phone calls from people discussing this kind of stuff. And so he would have a weekend show called Dreamland, and during Dreamland it was all about paranormal, aliens, government conspiracies, cover-ups, conspiracy, you know. And so it became hugely popular, so much so that he became a full-time host for that type of genre. And slowly but surely, other radio stations around the nation started picking him up, and he became the second biggest syndicated radio host in the nation, behind Rush Limbaugh. But movies, books have all spawned because of the work that Art Bell did and the people that called in, the interviews that he conducted. Ancient Aliens, obviously, because of the stuff that Art Bell did. He also wrote a book in the 90s called The Day After Tomorrow, and it was really called The Coming Global Superstorm, but the movie The Day After Tomorrow is based on his book. So Art Bell, freaking legend, amazing, died last year, unfortunately, but just amazing. Was on Larry King, everything. So I'm gonna kick that back on, and I'm gonna shut up for a minute.
Careers are challenged. I will learn with you this morning, and what a journey it's going to be. Right, here we go. Now, as promised on this American tour, in Chicago, in a hotel room where he's probably not going to get very much sleep. Here's Graham Hancock. Graham, hi.
Hi, good morning to you.
So good to hear your voice without the delay that we get when I called you one night in London.
That's right. One morning as it was in my case.
background.
Absolutely, we had a battle line.
Also, control point nearby.
Well, listen, it's great to have you on the program. Richard Hogan.
Fuck. Oh, I don't know why I jumped in. That was fucking stupid.
Immediate medical
Jesus.
assistance needed.
To get you on the program.
And then Richard and I, together with Robert Laval, presented two major conferences recently in England, one at Imperial College London and the other at Leeds University, where we made common cause with Richard on the issue of freedom of information and freedom of knowledge and freedom of ideas, because the work that Richard is doing, particularly regarding the structures, the apparent structures on Mars, is of enormous importance and enormous interest, and we feel that it's extraordinary that this work has not been followed up by the powers that be. And
I'm doing the solo mission. I'm right at completing the main story.
With the suppression of knowledge regarding the pyramids and the Great Sphinx of Egypt.
Yes, you and I have common cause. I have done the same thing with Richard, and I guess, Graham, the answer is that a lot of scientific paradigms and careers are challenged by tampering with conventional wisdom.
Yes.
In those areas. Graham, before we get started, tell us a little bit about Graham Hancock. Not everybody knows. What is your background, Graham?
My background, well, how far should we go back? I was born in 1950 in Edinburgh, in Scotland, so I'm 45 years old now. I lived in India as a child. My father is a medical doctor, and we lived in southern India. I went to university in the north of England, and I became a journalist and a writer. I worked for the Economist newspaper and wrote regularly for the London Sunday Times and the Guardian and other newspapers. I was deeply interested in Africa, and in the events of Africa. I covered the war between Somalia and Ethiopia in 1977 as a war correspondent. I lived in East Africa for several years in Somalia and in Kenya. I was finally the East Africa correspondent for The Economist, visited Ethiopia many times. And it was through visiting Ethiopia and at that time,
1 second, Gabe, sorry.
Really an interest in politics and famine and wars and economics. I came across Ethiopia's extraordinary claim to possess the lost Ark of the Covenant, as in Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Yes.
the biblical ark that supposedly contained the Ten Commandments written by the finger of God. And I discovered that this claim was ridiculed by scholars. They regarded it as laughable and as funny and as a primitive superstition, but the more I looked into it, the more intriguing it seemed to me that it was. Ethiopia is the only country in the world that claims to possess this amazing relic, and there's a living tradition of worship of the Ark of the Covenant in Ethiopia. And there's an indigenous population of Ethiopian Jews who practice a pre-Talmudic Judaism. They
Never turned. Sorry about that. That was a call.
From the main body of Judaism for thousands of years. And I thought, hey, this claim to possess the Ark of the Covenant is not without foundation, and I decided to look into it initially from the perspective of an investigative reporter, an investigative journalist, and it led me down an avenue of discovery and learning concerning the mysteries of the past of humanity, because I came to realize that we're a species with amnesia, that we all know almost nothing about our own past, and therefore we know almost nothing about ourselves. And the first thing led me to Egypt and the mystery of the sudden, fully formed emergence of Egyptian civilization at around 3,000 years ago.
We need you to secure the outcast strategist.
I'm set up at the main entrance. Agent, head for the northeast gate.
With the northeast gate and main entrance covered, he won't be able to leave the center without running into one of our teams.
In the message of the Sphinx. So that's Graham Hancock as a writer and as an investigator.
Use the car for retractable bollards in front of the gate. You might be able to raise the bollards and use the car as a battering ram.
My wife is Santa. She's a wonderful woman. She's changed my life. She's brought meaning and spirituality into my life, and we pursue this quest for knowledge and learning together.
Is it a driven thing with you, Graham? Are you driven to do this?
I feel totally caught up and captivated
Oh, cool.
and entranced
That was cool.
by the mystery of the past. feel that there has been a huge
I'll go check it out.
episode.
I'm in.
human
Main
history.
entrance is clear.
A lost civilization, a chapter in the story of mankind that we have
My
forgotten
cat will not
entirely,
shut up.
and that this period of history is unrepresented in the modern world. It has no ambassadors in the modern world. Nobody speaks for the past. Our scholars simply
Agent, you
write
need to
off
cut off the
history
primary
of
escape route.
mankind as a period
Take out
of
the boats they've got
primitive
docked southwest of your position.
men lived in
I'll keep an eye on the main entrance.
Hear that
Make sure
gunfire
he
over there,
doesn't
bro?
come back.
the mystery and the magic that lies there. What I sense is an ancient voice trying to come through to us, through the veil of the past. And I have to speak for that ancient voice, to give it a voice in the modern world, to allow it to be heard, and to do so with reason and with argument. There's a great deal of wishy-washy material out there in the so-called New Age field where people speculate wildly and have woolly ideas, and this is not going to change the way that people think. The only way that we can change a paradigm, that we can change the fixed and rigid system of ideas, on its own terms, and that's what I've tried to do in my book, particularly in Fingerprints of the Gods and in the new book, The Message of Things, is to present solid, reasoned evidence which any person with common sense can see makes sense and which does challenge the existing view of history.
Well, there might be some who would say that you will find who have a lot of stake.
I didn't know the guy was behind me.
Careers and firms are built about the way.
Yes.
So, how is all this received by peer colleagues?
The conclusion that we're coming to, particularly with the Egyptian material that I cover in Fingerprints of the Gods and that we go into in more depth in the Message of the Sphinx, is that in a sense the Egyptologists, who are self-appointed specialists in this area, have made themselves irrelevant to the argument. We no longer seek their approval. We no longer seek their acceptance of our ideas in this field. The evidence that we present speaks for itself, and our
That was crazy. That was crazy right there.
to go directly to the public. When I say when I speak in the plural, I'm talking here about Robert Bovard and myself. He's the author of a book called The Orion Mystery, which presented the Orion correlation and its extraordinary.
Well, at least now we know the strategist is
He and
home.
I got together to work on the Message of the Sphinx, and what we feel is that the Egyptologists are irrelevant to this argument. The public are not listening
Hey,
to them
Mav, I'm
anymore.
streaming. Don't come back here.
Tired old
You got your
theories
kitty?
about the pyramids being tombs of megalomaniac pharaohs,
Get him off my table.
fixed and rigid ideas of what ancient
Thank
Egypt
you.
was.
Can you stop that growling?
No longer accepted by the majority of the general
You'll get
public
scratched.
today, and the burden of proof is shifted. It's no longer to prove that we are right. It's now for the Egyptologists to prove that we are wrong. It's not acceptable anymore for them to stand up there and say, well, listen, I'm the professor of Egyptology at the Oriental Institute in Chicago, and I know that you guys are wrong, therefore please go away. The public just won't accept that.
God, I love a 60-round magazine.
Let's first of all deal with the
Oh, fuck, I didn't see my hill. Alright, I'll be right back. Be right back.
Of three megalomaniac pharaohs, Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure, three pharaohs of the 4th dynasty, who ruled at around the period of 2500 BC. And they say that that's all they are, tombs and tombs only. They say that the Great Sphinx is a monumental statue that was carved to aggrandize the ego of one of those pharaohs, Pharaoh Khafre, and that the face of the Sphinx is carved into his image, and that it was created in 2500 BC. And if you look this matter up in any encyclopedia, Or if you read it in any orthodox popular text, such as the National Geographic magazine or the misleadingly named Time, Life, Lost Civilization series, you'll see the same tired, old theory being regurgitated again and again as though it were the revealed truth of God. And nobody ever tells us that that's all it is. It's just a theory. It's just the opinion of a few, a very few, by the way, scholars. It's just their opinion based on no facts whatsoever. The Egyptological notion that the Great Pyramids are tombs is purely and simply a matter of opinion. No burial of any pharaoh has ever been found inside those colossal and extraordinary monuments. They are completely bare. They contain no inscriptions whatsoever. They are stark, austere, and anonymous. They stand out there on the Giza Plateau, begging the intelligent and the curious to work out what they are. But they tell us one thing very definitely about themselves, that they were built by master astronomers and master engineers with skills and talents almost beyond human imagining. The
Graham, you said that there was nothing in them, at least no burial point.
No burials,
Fine.
no mummified body ever found,
All right,
no sarcophagus ever found.
Gotcha. What is in them? Aren't there chambers and so forth and so on? Now, I've never
Yes.
been there, so I don't know.
All of the three pyramids of Giza have chambers in them.
Yes.
Known chambers, and as we show in the message of the Sphinx, as yet undiscovered chambers as well. The two secondary pyramids, the second pyramid and the third pyramid, have just one major chamber each. The third pyramid has a group of smaller chambers as well, and these are underground. They're both, the chamber systems are under the ground, under the base of the pyramid, but the Great Pyramid, the pyramid that Egyptologists attribute to Khufu, contains a subterranean chamber which is 100 feet below ground. It contains the so-called Queen's Chamber, and this attribution is purely arbitrary. There's no basis for it, which is in the superstructure of the monument about 100 feet above ground. And about a further 100 feet above that, there's a third, much larger chamber with a group of smaller chambers above it. These are massive cavities in some cases inside the body of this 6 million ton monument. They're joined up by an intricate network of corridors and passageways. And mysteriously, in the Great Pyramid, there are 4 very narrow shafts, 2 of them from the so-called King's Chamber. These are 8 inches wide and 8 inches high, cut all the way through the body of the monument. They rise at an incline, at an angle, and they exit on the outside of the monument. But the 2 lower shafts from the so-called Queen's Chamber do not exit on the outside of the monument. They stop somewhere inside that vast 6 million ton bulk. And this, the mystery of these shafts is one of the issues that we investigate in the Message of the Sphinx, because at the end of one of those shafts, in 1993, after an exploration by a small robotic camera, was discovered a door complete with 2 metal handles. And an amazing archaeological scandal surrounds what has happened concerning that door and the chamber that lies beyond it, and also a chamber that lies deep beneath the Great Sphinx.
Yikes. What, aside from when we get down to the very mysterious door and so forth, what use do you suppose all these chambers had? What function? What use?
Well, it's going to take us some time to talk this through. This is a deep and mysterious matter, but there's something that I want to draw attention to right now, and that is the precision of the Great Pyramid. Remember that this monument is supposed to be the tomb of a megalomaniac pharaoh,
right,
although no burial was ever found inside it. The Great Pyramid weighs 6 million tons. It has a footprint of just under 14 acres, and it stands more than 450 feet tall. Mysteriously, it is perfectly aligned to true north, south, east, and west. The north-south faces of the Great Pyramid are better aligned to true north and south than the Meridian building of the Greenwich Observatory in London. The Greenwich Observatory in London is 9/60ths of a degree off true north. The Great Pyramid, the last surviving wonder of the ancient world, the oldest massive construction on Earth, is just 3/60ths of a single degree off true north. And this tells us beyond any shadow of a doubt that astronomers of astonishing skill and talent were at work in the surveying and setting out of this amazing monument. And this is the first clue as to its function, because it speaks the language of astronomy. And astronomy is a language that can pass and transcend the passage of thousands of years and the change of cultures and symbols. It's a language that any intelligent civilization can decode. If we wish to understand these monuments, we have to look to astronomy. We have to look to the stars. And therein lies the beginning of a trail of clues that leads finally to a conclusion.
Graham, at the time the pyramids were built, did mankind have the knowledge to determine very nearly precisely true north?
Well, not according to Orthodox history, no. Didn't have the knowledge to do that at all. And also, the question that arises is, when were the pyramids built? Orthodox Egyptologists say that the pyramids were built in 2500 BC. But that, again, is a statement of opinion. These monuments are made of stone, and you cannot date stone monuments by any objective technique. Carbon dating only dates organic material.
Right.
Therefore, you need to look to other sciences to put a dating on these monuments. And we think that the story of these monuments, the chronology of these monuments, is extremely different to the chronology presented by Egyptologists. And that although the period of 2500 BC does figure in their story, it's only part of their story, and that the origins and the genesis of this amazing site go back to 10,500 BC, 12,500 years ago, the end of the last ice age, when very strange things were happening on this planet, a time of mystery and darkness about which very little is known. And the evidence that links the three great pyramids and the Great Sphinx to the date of 10,500 BC is astonishingly strong, and we present that evidence in the new book, in The Message of the Sphinx.
I'd like to talk a little bit about that evidence, because if you cannot date to 2500 BC, how can you date to almost 10,000 years, even earlier than that?
Through two precise sciences. One is astronomy, and the other is geology. And as I said a moment ago, it's astronomy that really holds the key to these monuments, because what we've discovered and what we present is simply this, that the three great pyramids map on the ground the pattern of three prominent stars in the sky.
All right.
Well, at least now we know the strategist is home.
Graham Hancock is my guest. He's in Chicago.